Hello everyone, this is Harris Trivia, and today we're continuing the rise of Sima Yi Let's Talk Lore series with episode 5 titled The Battle of Xincheng. Now last episode we took a break and looked at Sima Yi's family, but for the rest of the series we are going to return our focus back on Sima Yi's career with a particular focus on his military track record under Emperor Cao Rui. Now up until 227, after serving almost 2 decades in the Cao Rui court, Sima Yi really did not have much of a military career. Looking back, he went on his first military campaign in 215 when Cao Cao attacked Zhang to recover Hanzhong. While there was some initial resistance led by Zhang Lu's brother, Zhang Wei, at Yangping Path, the entire campaign was relatively easy, with Zhang Lu surrendering soon after Zhang Wei's death. After that, Sima Yi would really only take part in one more campaign under Cao Cao, during the 217 attack against Sun Quan at Ruxukou, which was another easy victory. After 217, Sima Yi would not see any real action again, as both he and Cao Cao were not in the Jin province during Guan Yu's attack in 219. But to his credit, he did provide the critical macro-level assessment to utilize Sun Quan as a weapon against Guan Yu. Then after Cao Cao's death, Cao Pi relied heavily on Sima Yi as a trusted steward of the imperial court during all his own personal military campaigns, which meant that Sima Yi was either conducting court in the capital city of Luoyang or providing logistical support as a reserve unit from Xuchang. And even though Cao Pi did grant Sima Yi a personal retinue of 5,000 men and had Sima Yi stationed on the Wu borders during peace times, the lack of actual military action does make Sima Yi's military capability a relative unknown up until this point. But that is all going to change with Cao Pi's death in 226, as almost immediately after Cao Rui became emperor, Sun Quan will launch his first probing attack in the Jin province, with him leading the attack on Jiangxia, while Zhuge Jin and Zhang Ba targeted Xiangyang. In response, Cao Rui sent Sima Yi to the Jin province to oversee the defenses. Now, the reason behind this deployment was largely due to Sima Yi's familiarity with this particular theater of war, as he had been stationed in the Jin province before by Cao Pi, and because of where the other two co-regents in Cao Xiu and Cao Zhen were being stationed. At the time, Cao Xiu was in charge of the borders with Wu in the Yang province to the east, while Cao Zhen was stationed back in Luoyang. Therefore, the task of defending the Jin province fell onto Sima Yi, who did well in this test of his military capabilities. On the front against Sun Quan in Jiangxia, Sima Yi did not have to do much, as veteran General Wen Qing was stationed in Jiangxia and had no issue deterring Sun Quan's attacks, despite heavy rains that eroded much of his city walls, as Sun Quan would fall prey to his indecisiveness once again. On the front against Zhuge Jin and Zhang Ba in Xiangyang, Sima Yi was able to push back the enemy attacks and also slay the enemy general Zhang Ba. With this victory in hand, Sima Yi proved his military capabilities to the young emperor, as Sima Yi was promptly promoted in December of 226 to the position of General of the Cavalry, which puts him third in terms of military rank in the Wei court, squarely behind his two fellow co-regents in Cao Xiu and Cao Zhen. Then after 6 months of rest and recovery for Sima Yi and his army, Cao Rui would order Sima Yi to take command of the garrison at Wan in Nanyang, where he was now tasked with all military matters in the provinces of Jing and Yu. And Sima Yi's first challenge in this position is Meng Da's rebellion, which happens within a month of his appointment. Now, we have covered Meng Da's rebellion in great detail in our Northern Expedition series, as it happened as a direct result of Zhuge Liang's mobilization into Hanzhong right after Cao Pi's death. At the time, Meng Da, who previously was a general of Liu Bei before defecting to Wei after Guan Yu's death, started to worry about his own future in the Wei court, as Emperor Cao Pi had favored him despite his checkered past, and questionable loyalty, while his direct superior in Xiahou Shang also got along great with him. But in late 225, Xiahou Shang fell ill enough to retire back to Luoyang, where he would soon die. Then just a month later, Emperor Cao Pi would follow suit, which gave way to Sima Yi becoming Meng Da's direct superior under the new Emperor Cao Rui. And in Sima Yi's first report to the emperor, he questioned the appointment of Meng Da, as Sima Yi felt that allowing a former general of Liu Bei to remain as the regional administrator of the borderlands was unwise. This obviously spooked Meng Da, who was then approached by Zhuge Liang's spy, Guo Mo, who informed Meng Da that the prime minister is now stationed in Hanzhong and will welcome him back to Shuhan with open arms. But despite this timely offer, Meng Da could not make up his mind. However, Zhuge Liang never intended to give Meng Da much of a choice in this matter, as after Meng Da's first defection, there was no way that Zhuge Liang would trust Meng Da again. Therefore, the true purpose of Guo Mo's visit was not to entice Meng Da into flipping sides once more, but rather to plant evidence to force Meng Da to flip sides and become an internal problem for Wei, as Zhuge Liang busied himself planning for the first northern expedition, which would be later that winter. So after Guo Mo visited Meng Da in Xincheng, he went directly to the nearby Wei Xin commandery, where the local Wei administrator, Shen Yi, was a political rival to Meng Da. And not surprisingly, after presenting the exchange of letters between Zhuge Liang and Meng Da, Shen Yi seized the opportunity to report his political rival for treason to their superior in Sima Yi. Now, once Sima Yi got words of Meng Da's wavering loyalty, by law he would need to report this development back to the imperial court and await a decision from the emperor. But Sima Yi clearly thought this would be too slow, as instead he did three things. First, Sima Yi wrote a letter to Meng Da trying to calm his concerns about his future in the Wei court. Second, Sima Yi wrote a report to the imperial court telling them that because of the urgency of the situation, he has decided to launch a preemptive attack on Meng Da. And lastly, Sima Yi gathered up his army and set them on forced march and headed straight for Xincheng. This would completely catch Meng Da by surprise, as he thought he would have at least 30 days before the earliest possible Wei response. Luckily for him, Xincheng had favorable terrain, as it was surrounded by water on three sides, and the only remaining land route had plenty of wooden stakes installed already. But Meng Da would underestimate Sima Yi's onslaught, as Sima Yi would organize an 8-front assault attacking the city from both land and water, and after 16 days of intense non-stop attack, Meng Da's troops lost all hope, as Meng Da's own nephew, Deng Xian, and officer Li Fu would open the city gates and surrender the city to Sima Yi. Meng Da was promptly beheaded, with his head now being sent to Luoyang for all to see, and his rebellion ended before it even started. In the aftermath, Sima Yi would force over 7,000 of Meng Da's remaining troops to migrate north to the You province to become farmers and laborers on state-run Tuntian farms, and the Book of Jin also claimed that Sima Yi sent troops ahead of time to block off reinforcements from both Shuhan and Wu, which resulted in another 7,000 Shuhan troops surrendering to Sima Yi after Meng Da's death. Now, I personally question the authenticity of this claim, as there are no mentions of any attempts from Zhuge Liang to reinforce Meng Da in the records of Three Kingdoms, and given the Book of Jin's propensity to exaggerate Sima Yi's achievements, I personally doubt this actually happened, but this is just a personal opinion of mine. What happened for certain is that Sima Yi also took this chance to remove Shen Yi from the administrator posts in the nearby Wei Xin commandery, because much like Meng Da, Shen Yi was a former official of Liu Bei before defecting with Meng Da to Wei. Furthermore, the Shen clan were locals to the Shangyong region, which makes them a much bigger threat, and is why when they surrendered for the first time, Shen Yi's older brother, Shen Dan, was not allowed by Cao Pi to remain in Shangyong, as he was forced to move to Nanyang. Yet Shen Dan's removal did not affect Shen Yi, who continued to expand his local influence, as he illegally carved and issued seals to his subordinates, granting them power beyond what is allowed by a regional administrator. So in one fell swoop, Sima Yi took this opportunity to root out two problems in both Meng Da and Shen Yi, as he would arrest Shen Yi and send him to Luoyang, where he would live under house arrest for the rest of his life. And with the swift and decisive victory against Meng Da, Sima Yi's reputation as a capable military commander started to take root within the Wei court, as our episode here will also be coming to an end. Now next time when we return, we will explore how Sima Yi rose to become Wei's top military commander. So hopefully you all have enjoyed this episode enough to hit that like button to help support the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!